Philippine-China relations in the South China Sea are heating up. The Philippines accuses China of promoting a false narrative of its claims in disputed waters. It is known that nearly 200 Chinese ships were detected on Whitsun Reef before spreading to other areas in the South China Sea since last week. Beijing ignored Manila's demands for the ships to leave, saying the area was part of its territory. Whitsun Reef is about 320 kilometers or 175 nautical miles west of Palawan Island, Philippines. According to the International Arbitration Court, this is included in the exclusive economic zone of President Rodrigo Duterte's country, even though it was rejected by China. Presidential legal advisor Salvador Panelo said the presence of Chinese ships in the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines was a stain on the relations between the two countries. This can spark unwanted hostility. Panelo's remarks were the strongest to come from Duterte's office. Previously, Duterte was more lenient with China because of loan and investment promises. Meanwhile, last week a number of ministers and ministries had repeatedly spread threats to China. Philippine Defense Minister Delfin Lorenzana accused Beijing of planning to expand its territorial claims in the South China Sea and into Philippine waters. The Philippine Ministry of Foreign Affairs is also supporting Lorenzana. The Foreign Ministry repeated calls for China to withdraw all ships and even call them Beijing's maritime militia. Meanwhile, China argues that fishing vessels take refuge from the rough sea at that location. The area 638 miles from Hainan, China, is referred to by Beijing as Niuejiao and is claimed to be part of its territory. Due to the maritime situation, several fishing vessels took cover from the wind near Niuejiao, which is quite normal. We hope that relevant parties can see this rationally, Foreign Ministry spokesman Hua Chunying said last week. The Chinese embassy in Manila also criticized the Philippine defense minister's comments, even calling it unprofessional. China has so far claimed 90% of the LCS, which covers an area of approximately 3.5 million square kilometers, 1.4 million square miles, with a 9-line concept. In 2016, an international court overturned China's claim, but Beijing did not acknowledge the decision and called it a fake. The unilateral territorial claims overlap with the claims of several ASEAN countries and Taiwan. Apart from China, the SCS itself has borders with Brunei, Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam.
Meanwhile, the American ships were back on the move in the SCS. Automatic Identification System (ICE) data shows this on Sunday, April 4, 2021. Through Twitter, the SCP probing initiative showed how Theodore Roosevelt's CSG came in. The U.S. ship was seen sailing in Malacca, which lies between peninsular Malaysia and the Indonesian island of Sumatra. Theodore Roosevelt's CSG entered the SCS via the Malacca Strait this morning, launched aid data. As of April 4, the agency wrote, quoted Monday, April 5, 2021. Analysts estimate that the entry of this vessel is related to the chaos of Chinese fishing boats. Previously, senior U.S. and Philippine officials had discussed China's activities, which they considered unsettling, at the SCS during a phone call on Wednesday last week. The outcome of the call stated that as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Philippine National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon agreed that the U.S. and the Philippines would continue to coordinate closely in response to challenges in the SCS. Sullivan underlined that the U.S. supports our Philippine allies in upholding a rules-based international maritime order, and reaffirms the implementation of the U.S.-Philippines Joint Defense Agreement in the SCS, said a White House statement.